The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Paige and Paige Clark.
Good morning. I'm Nico Paige, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Paige Clark. Good morning.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, 72 degrees, a little chilly. Not really chilly, but compared to what we've been having.
We like it. Hey,
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. It's news you can use in your mailbox twice a month. $10 a month gets it right to you.
$10 for 2 issues on the first and third Friday or Tuesday.
That's right. And pick up some of our Primal Edge Daily Nutrition, ionic minerals, ready to use, cell ready to keep you healthy and wealthy, because that is true health.
So I think our community is recovering quite a bit. I hear all the lights are on everywhere, so we're kind of getting back to normal here.
Well, yeah, but there are some more hurricanes out there. You
Yeah,
know?
in fact, I've got on the telestrator here, I've got the track of Maria. And it looks like it's going to hit Puerto Rico, and then it's going to go.
Well, it's already hit Dominican Republic overnight, and the Dominican Republic Prime Minister said that it's damaged them beyond what money can buy. That's very sad. Very sad. Don't know, folks. This is really trying times, and we just need to keep everyone in our prayers.
So most of the cleanup is being done. I still have a big pile of wood and twigs and everything in my front yard, but across the street they cleared it all off. So things are starting to return back to normal, and the food is getting back into the stores, and people are trying to kind of figure out how to prepare for the next one, I think. You know, we kind of...
That's the real thing, to prepare.
Yeah.
Regardless, everyone needs to be prepared, because the unprepared are the ones that create the chaos.
Yeah, and down in the Keys, of course, they're starting to let people back in, and there's a lot of commotion about whether they should have restricted the people or not. And I know the people that I know down there are saying, I'm never leaving again. But that might be the wrong thing to do.
Why are they saying that?
Well, because they're restricted. They can't go back in. It's been, a week and a half
But
now.
is it livable?
Well, it's still people. Home is home, no matter what it is. You know, for some people. And
but I mean, I can sort of see that. I mean, if there's down power lines that are live wires, I mean.
Oh, I see both sides of it for sure, because there's nothing better than being at home, no matter what the deal is, because at least you're in your own space and you can start cleaning up, and then you can start tracking. You know, how can I get back to normal? You know, normalize. But the couple that we had staying with us are now in a hotel. And they are still contemplating whether they should go back or not. And they have some pictures of their house from the top, so they know the roof is on.
Yeah, you mentioned that someone took pictures.
Yeah, and they have pictures of what happened downstairs, which is their storage area. Everything was flipped all over, you know. So it's a big mess down there, but the structure is intact, so that's important to them. And that's why they were kind of thinking, well, next time maybe we don't leave, because at least the structure held, you know. But every storm's different, so, I mean, that's a tough decision, I think.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully all of you stay safe.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. How important is it to calculate net carbs? This was in grasslandbeef.com. And Dr. McCullough wrote this, and I think that this is... it's got some good information, because more and more we're understanding that it is truly excess carbohydrate, which is the one macronutrient that is not necessary, is also the culprit in metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular disease, et cetera, et cetera.
Just about everything, in a sense.
It really
especially when you consider that most of the carbs these days don't have as much nutrition in it. I have another article that talks about that. But also, those are mostly the processed foods. When we can talk about processed meats, that's not good either. But I think people eat a lot less of that than the carbohydrates.
That's a good point. We have processed food across the macronutrients. There are processed fats, there are processed carbs, and there are processed meats. Those are what we want to stay away from.
They're exactly right. And the reason that carbs are processed so much because they're easier to keep. Once you process meat, that's also a little bit easier to keep, but not as much as carbs. When you put carbs in a box, they're dry, they're not exposed to the elements, and that means virtually you can keep them forever.
Very true. So, let's look at this, Nico, because when people sit down and to eat a meal or a snack, they want to try and figure out. Most people have no idea what minerals or nutritional aspects are in the food that they're eating. And they often resort to reading the labels to see if they can figure out what's going on. And when we take a look at the Atkins diet, was probably a forerunner of all low-carb eating.
That's the first time we ever really heard of it.
Yes, yeah. And it was designed to limit sugar and carb intake. But the Atkins diet says to figure the net carbs, start with the grams of carbohydrates listed on the food labels, subtract the dietary fiber, then subtract the sugar alcohol if applicable, and that's backed up by Mother Nature's network. But there's another source to say that that's a good way to do it. But we really need to understand how to calculate these net carbs, because I know a lot of people were buying, some of my bodybuilder friends were buying a lot of these 32-gram protein bars, and then no sugar. And then when you read the sugar alcohols and the lack of fiber, it was like a sugar bullet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they calculate the net carbs representing just the starches and sugars in a food after some fiber and sugar alcohol contents have been subtracted. So this is important because the indication is that the fiber will do away with some of the negative
effects of the sugar. That's just like when you eat the whole food.
Yes.
There's a big difference between drinking pomegranate juice and eating the pomegranate. And, I'm a fan of even pomegranate juice because of the research that shows the astringentness of it is cleansing.
And we've often said also that juices in a real small form, in other words, a small container of it,
a shot glass
of it is very potent and very helpful for us. But when you overconsume it, then it's kind of
8-ounce glass of orange juice in the morning has to go, guys. But eat a whole orange if you want.
And the sugar alcohol is subtracted because the sugar alcohol doesn't go through the same process. It goes right to the liver. So not impacted by glucose, or not by.
But I want to learn more about this, Nico, because as we're finding out from a lot of the people in the keto world, it's really the stress of fructose on the liver, creating non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Right.
And so anything that's going directly to the liver could, in fact, actually be a real stressor, right?
Yeah, but the point I wanted to make is that it's not impacted by insulin.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes to the liver first, so there's no interaction with the insulin like it would be when they're absorbed in the intestines.
Okay.
There's a little difference there. So that's why alcohol does affect you a little bit differently, but it can be detrimental too. So subtracting it just from the point of the net carbs.
Okay, so let's try and see if we can figure this out, because it looks like this article is trying to tell us there's about 5 different ways to really understand figuring these out. So let's see if we can find a way that's helpful to you after the break. See you in just a second.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. It's a numbers game, really. We're talking about net carbs and total carbs. And just to kind of narrow this in a little bit, the net carbs numbers reflects the grams of carbohydrates that significantly impact your blood sugar levels, and therefore are the only carbs you need to count when you do, say, the Atkins diet. Foods that are low in net carbs, such as nutrient-dense vegetables and fruits, don't have a significant impact on blood sugar and therefore are less likely to interfere with your weight loss. So really what we want to do is we want to stay low net carb, not low total carbs. That's why eating fruits and vegetables is a wise use of where you get your carbs, because they typically have the fiber that slows it down so it doesn't impact your sugar.
Yeah, and that's the current theory. And, you know, for me, the lifestyle is pretty simple because I've been at it for 10 years, and I usually just think about, okay, what's my protein source? And then throw any vegetables or fruit that might complement that on a much smaller level, and that's it for me. And that way I know if my carbs are about the same size, you know, in amount as the meat on my table, I'm pretty clean as far as the carbs are concerned. The reason this whole thing came up is because people are used to counting things. You know, we counted calories for many years, and now we know that calories aren't as important when you restrict.
It's the source of those calories. Yeah. So net carbs are defined as the total carbs minus the fiber. Yeah. Keep in mind that when seeking to limit your net carbs, this is not the same as eating a low total carb diet. It is a low net carb diet. Seeking to limit carbs from fiber would be counterproductive, as your body requires large amounts of fiber carbs for two primary reasons.
Yeah, the first one's interesting because fiber is used as a prebiotic. Your
feeds the good bacteria.
Exactly. And that's what we've always maintained. It's not so much that we're getting these fibers in there to kind of scrape everything and move everything out. It's more that they are food for our bacteria.
And second, most of the fiber is converted to short-chain fatty acids that can be used as fuel for your cells in place of sugar. You know, I made a really good cabbage soup during the storm.
Ooh, that's perfect.
So what I do is I take my, chicken broth, actually. And then I just put lots of cabbage because, you know, cabbage is very healing, and onions and carrots and celery. And I didn't add meat because I can easily cook some meat and add it to the soup, but I just feel like it lasts longer. But afterwards, when it was pretty much all done, when it was just most of the soup part of it was gone, it was just a bunch of really soft cooked vegetables. But don't forget, those soup vegetables that have been cooked down still have great nutrition. And they still have fiber even though they've been cooked.
Sure.
It's actually easier to digest, which that brings me up. I threw it in our system. I don't know if I can pull it up, but there's a study out called the Pure Study.
Okay.
And not to digress, but remind me to bring that up. It shows that for all cause, people live longer when they eat more cooked vegetables than raw vegetables because they're actually being able to use it.
Yeah, because it's much easier to digest. Our digestive system's not going crazy trying to,
And if you work with any Eastern healers, many times they'll look at you when their digestion is poor and say, you eat more cooked vegetable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's really important to realize that as a species, cooked food is what made us what we are today. I mean, we can still eat a lot of raw things, but it's the cooked food that allowed us to save a lot of energy, allowed our brains to grow. Because our body's not working quite as hard as it is when it's raw.
That's right. And so let's talk. So we just went over number 1 and number 2 reason, using it as fuel. But this is the whole thing, guys. Most people are still burning carbs as their primary fuel. And the problem with this is that carbs do not burn as clean as fat. Nico made a great graphic once that said, you know, carbs are like jet fuel, whereas fats are more like
the wood stove.
The wood stove that stays warm and keeps you warm through the whole thing.
And the point of that is being that those carbs are very volatile. They'll burn very fast, but also send a lot of damage into your body as free radicals.
And that's exactly right. It actually says that the carbs, even these healthy, you know, low net carb, total carb, they do not burn as cleanly as fat, and they produce 30 to 40% more free radicals than fat. That's probably why they come packaged with lots of antioxidants, thank goodness.
And these free radicals damage
the cell
membranes, your DNA, proteins.
The mitochondrial DNA.
Yes.
That's the crucial thing.
Exactly. And, of course, then you get that sticky kind of substance that will bind with your proteins, especially the dirtier proteins that are in there, and that becomes a problem because that's what causes all our wrinkles and goes to our artery walls. And this is what actually the cholesterol is trying to clean up.
Exactly. It's over there to make the repair. So what is the goal of why we brought this up today? The goal of counting your net carbs, folks, is so that you could eventually radically limit your intake of net carbs to under 40 to 50 grams of net carbs per day and replace them with healthy fats, as this will transition your body into being a fat-burning furnace and radically reduce your risk for most chronic diseases. How about that?
Yeah, that's very cool. And I forget what I was going to say now. That you put that so nicely. You know, as we transition through this, it's important to count these for many people because you're not used to how your body feels eliminating these carbs, and you start becoming a fuel or a fat burner. As you get experience with this, you can actually feel your body going in and out of fat burning because of the types of carbs that you're eating.
You know, it's really a big step to make the commitment to burn fat for fuel. And this is what Nico and I have been, you know, sharing with you all for 8 years now. And, you know, now it's really cool. And we were talking about it before it was cool. So an online nutritional tracker can really help. It's the easiest and most efficient way to determine your net carb intake. So in lieu of all this math, we were skating over a little bit this morning to calculate what are your net carbs. A food tracker makes it easier, and a great one is Chronometer.
Chrono meter.
Yeah, chrono, like time meter, chronometer. And I think if you put a / Mercola, I think he has some special thing he's done to it. It's a premium web application for tracking your nutrition and health data. It takes the mystery out of how to get the most nutrition from a reduced calorie or low net carb diet.
Yeah. It'll tell you how much fat, protein, and carbohydrates you're consuming, the grams, percentage of your total calories, as well as ratios for omega-6 and omega-3, zinc to copper, potassium to sodium. So those ratios, as we've discussed many times, are really important to your homeostasis. So that's a lot of good information on Chronometer.
Some other benefits of this actual software, and I'm going to download it because it's been on my list.
Okay.
Because I was using my FitnessPal, which I learned how to use. I didn't want to make a change, but I keep hearing about it because another valuable tool of Chronometer is that you can pre-plan your meals and enter the information before you actually eat. So, Dr. Mercola's nutrition plan contains all the information you need to get healthy. He has a great if you go to Mercola's website, I think it's one of the best tools to just say, go through his whole three-phase program, and you can catch up on 8 years worth of us trying to teach you here.
Yeah, that's for sure. Folks, we're getting ready for a break. I wanted to remind you the Primal Edge is there, and of course I have a brand new Health Signals newsletter, number 18 for the year, and it starts off with
Nora telling us how much fat is where
in fact,
it's
she
at.
asked the question, how much fat do we really need? And she answers that in there. Very important. So we'll be right back.
We are back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show. You know, on the telestrator here, we have a picture of some meat and some vegetables, and that's kind of what my meal always looks like.
That's a little bit too big of a piece for me.
For you,
but,
yeah, perhaps. But, you know, when we eat, we don't eat it all. So probably we eat a half of it. as far
and then
as
you save it as a leftover.
yeah, exactly. But the carb, the reason that we don't like counting calories, and that's what we always did in the past, and going to this method is because counting calories involves a heck of a lot more. It doesn't count nutrition.
You can eat a low-calorie diet that's nutrient poor. We
Right.
want calorie restriction, but nutrient density.
Yeah.
And that's an art. And that's why tools like Chronometer can really help you look, because it's going to give you an idea if you're getting enough of those key nutrient-dense foods.
Especially
even
the fats
though,
that we're really
Exactly.
wanting all the time.
So I think it's great, Nico. Let's go into talking about net carbs, fiber, and how they can impact your blood sugar, because net carb declarations on some packaged foods, well, there you go. If it's in a package, we probably have to be doing this, may not reflect the number of carbs you actually absorb. Additionally, every human body processes nutrients, including carbs, slightly different. Other terms for net carbs are digestible or impact carbs.
Which your body
Whether
can
they're
absorb.
simple or complex, we got to kind of dive down and explain this a little better.
Yeah, so simple carbs contain 1 or 2 sugar units linked together and are found in fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, honey, and syrup. Complex carbs contain many sugar units linked together and are found in grains and starchy vegetables like potatoes. When you eat a carb-containing food, most of the carbs are broken down into individual sugar units by enzymes produced in your small intestines. Your body can only absorb individual sugar units.
So there you go. Why starchy carbs may be a little more difficult if digestion is impaired.
Right, and usually they are. Remember, the reason that we quit eating potatoes and quit eating grains is because they're poorly absorbed. And a lot of times the digestion process itself will take nutrients out of our bones just to digest those things that are hard to digest.
But let's take this further. But
Okay.
while some carbs can't be broken down into individual sugars, others, such as fiber and sugar alcohols, are only partially broken down and absorbed. Therefore, most fiber and sugar alcohols are subtracted to calculate your net carbs.
Yeah, so when it comes to
Okay.
the types of fiber, soluble or insoluble, the latter, which is insoluble, is bulkier and helps prevent constipation because there's more bulk and it's moving through, hopefully.
And it has no impact on your caloric intake, your blood sugar, or your insulin levels. Okay, so
Yeah.
your insoluble fiber is more like a mover.
Right. So the soluble fiber dissolves and forms a gel-like substance that helps food move slowly through your system, making you feel full. Mm-hmm. Okay, so soluble fibers are fermented by bacteria. So here is the fiber that's being fermented. So these fermentations are sugars that are really good for your body.
Very good.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
don't impact your sugar either. And that's why we say net carbs, because you subtract those from the carbs and then you get the real number.
Yeah, so to understand a little bit more about sugar alcohols and how your body reacts to sugar alcohols, what are sugar alcohols actually? Authority Nutrition, a well-respected site, describes them as sugar alternatives, but with the ethanol that their name implies. Think erythritol. They're hybrids of sugar molecules, and aside from all the chemical concocted types, several can be found in fruits and vegetables. Xylitol. By the way, I didn't realize xylitol was highly toxic to dogs.
Yeah, they're very sensitive to that.
And I think if you do use xylitol, which can cause loose stools in some people, you want to look for the one that's birch sourced, I think.
Yeah, I don't particularly like any of these substitute types of sugars.
Erythritol, sorbitol, maltitol, and numerous others are very controversial. Sorbitol, for instance, is cited by Authority Nutrition as possibly causing significant digestive distress. So.
Yeah, and if you eat a lot of sugar alcohols in a short period of time, this can lead to symptoms
Gas
like
and
gas,
bloating.
bloating, diarrhea. If you have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, then you're sensitive and you need to avoid these sugar alcohols completely.
Notice that stevia was not in that. Stevia
No.
is not a sugar alcohol.
Right,
Okay.
and I would recommend using stevia, maybe even honey, which I use a lot of, and those seem to impact us
However,
a lot
using
better.
natural substances such as pure stevia is always best. And I personally think that, some people go, oh, I don't like the taste of stevia. If you use stevia for 30 days, you will taste sugar and you'll say, that's nasty stuff.
Yeah, your palate's kind of changes.
Your palate changes, yeah.
And it's the same thing with any sugar. When you start cutting out sugar, 30 or 40 days later, your taste buds have changed, and it really, really feels like a complete shock to the body when you taste it. So that's interesting.
So why are Nico and I sharing this with you? Because increasing your healthy fats and limiting your net carbs is imperative for you to have optimal health.
Yeah, it's not like we think. We've been brought up for years and years to that food pyramid, and now we have the plate.
Afraid of fat.
And being afraid of fats, and knowing that protein is probably dirty and not good for you. So, and certainly there are ones that are not. I mean, your factory farms and all these things that we see in the films are definitely not good for you. But if you get sustainable, organic, pasture-raised meat, then you've got the best of this world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and here's more. It may, still a lot of people are still struggling with this because it's been drilled in that, fat is the foe. It is not. Because it's not just important to limit your net carb intake. It is equally as important that you raise your healthy fat intake to improve your metabolic health. In fact, the type of fuel you burn makes all the difference in your quest to lose or maintain your weight, as way back as to what, Dr. Atkins, as a pioneer in this field, found out.
Yeah, remember that Dr. Atkins was researching cancer at the time that he discovered this whole thing, well, actually rediscovered from years ago, that, the way we're eating is why we're in the situation we're in, and why everybody's sick.
Exactly.
And why our health care system is really
here we go,
gone.
Nico. Let's just to drive this point home. A typical diet, most people still have that mindset that fat is foe, and a typical diet reduces calories, but it is still high in carbohydrates.
If you look at any of the main diets,
do you remember
Jenny
the rice
Craig,
cakes?
Yeah. We
it's
thought that it was healthy 20 years ago.
Oh, God. These are sugars, and as a result, many people constantly cycle between sugar highs, where excessive sugar is actually stored as fat in the body, and sugar lows, where you feel fatigued, and ravenously hungry. And that's where you're getting your insulin levels are spiking and dropping and spiking, and that's a sign that you're already in trouble.
Yeah, and this adds to the stress, when you go through things like we've gone through in the past couple of weeks with the storms, your stress level is way higher when you're eating like this. So when you're eating the proper way, which our ancestors ate, the stress level goes way down. And when you're in situations like we have in the past 2 weeks, you're relatively calm, you've got your mind in order, you've prepared for everything, and there's no panic. Yeah, you're going through the same thing everybody else is, but it's a lot easier just because of the way you eat. And that's a point that really sits well with me. Looking back on the past 2 weeks is really important, and I know I'm on the right track because I was calm during this whole thing.
Good health starts with counting net carbs, and to sum it up, virtually all disease, including obesity, is rooted in metabolic mitochondrial dysfunction. So this is important to be addressed. Grab that chronometer, start counting your net carbs, and become a fat burner.
And we'll be right back.
See you in a second.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tom O'Brien has just announced that he'll be coming to Boston September 30th for a free workshop, The Art of Timing the Trade. Join Tom O'Brien Saturday morning, September 30th at the Boston Marriott in Burlington, Massachusetts, as he breaks down his trading methodology and provides you with the tools to become a more successful and profitable trader. Everyone that attends in person will receive a free signed copy of Tom's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. Daryl Martin from Apex Investing Institute will also be presenting for 90 minutes at this free event.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Join me in Boston on September 30th as I return to my hometown for a workshop about the art of timing the trade. I look forward to seeing all the tigers and tigresses for this special free event.
All action starts early at 7:30 a.m. with a continental breakfast and wraps up at about 1 p.m. Topics that Tom will be covering during his presentation include quality volume, cause and effect, ABC structures, swing points, and much, much more. For all the information on this free Boston event taking place Saturday, September 30th, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. Here's a good one for you. We found an article in Politico, The Great Nutrient Collapse. And this is an interesting article. It talks about a mathematician by training, a gentleman named Irakli Lolades.
We think.
Yeah. He was in a biology lab when he encountered the puzzle that would change his life. This was back in 1998, and he was studying for his PhD at Arizona State University. And when he was looking at some of the glass containers that were glowing with bright green algae, he was told by another biologist that scientists had discovered something very mysterious about zooplankton.
Yeah,
Nico,
so zooplankton, those are microscopic animals that float in the world's oceans and lakes, and their food that they rely on algae.
Is algae.
And they're tiny little,
Yeah, algae is actually the plant, and zooplankton is actually an animal. A lot of people get that confused.
Right.
Yeah.
So they found that they can make algae grow faster by shining more light onto them, increasing the food supply for the zooplankton. So a lot of people think that this type of food is the future of mankind, where they can grow a lot of food. Interesting that he found, being a mathematician, he's running the numbers on this thing.
He says it didn't work out that way.
No, what happened is the nutrition went down as the product increased.
What he says is when the researchers shined more light on the algae grew faster and the tiny animals had lots and lots to eat. But at a certain point, they started struggling to survive. And what was the paradox? More food should lead to more growth. How could the algae be the problem?
And the reason I brought this up is we've been talking for a long time how the fruits and vegetables that we've been growing, and even the animals, are less nutritious than they were before. And my complaint is that we're actually helping this process because of we're taking care of the animals and we're taking care of the plants. Mother Nature is not anymore. So by us increasing their food production,
there you go, by
their life,
speeding up their growth, the researchers had essentially, it's kind of like raise a tomato in 10 days instead of 18 days.
Well, remember, it was a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the salmon that they were selling in Canada. So now they have the salmon that's grown in a shorter period of time.
And it's a big old fat salmon.
It's a big fat salmon. But according to this article and according to all the things we've been reading, much less nutrition
Yeah, listen to what he says, Nico. He and his colleagues devised a model that captured the relationship between a food source and a grazer that depends on the food. They published the first paper in 2000, but he was captivated by a much larger question raised by the experiment. Just how far might this problem extend? What struck him was that could the same problem affect grass and cows? What about rice and people? It was kind of a watershed moment when he started thinking about the impact on human nutrition.
Yes, and if we look
Think about GMOs. Moving the crop. That's exactly
GMOs,
what he's saying.
But even before GMOs, we know that 10,000 years ago, before agriculture, we were much healthier, and the bones show this. So just the fact that we started growing things and started, when we grow these, like corn back in the old days was a little piece of seeds like this, and now we have the big stalks. And there used to be many more stalks on them, and now there's less stalks. So by using fertilizers and using different techniques for extending their light time, maybe actually removing the nutrition from us. So then we have to eat a heck of a lot more, and then there's more calories in there, but less nutrition.
I'm kind of a little
said.
suspect on this article. As it goes on, he talks about it was already well documented that CO2 levels are rising in the atmosphere. Sounds a little bit like it might be a global warming Politico paper.
So.
In the outside world, the problem isn't that plants are suddenly getting more light. It's been that for years. They've been getting more carbon dioxide. So, he's losing me here a little bit, because my first reaction is that I believe a lot of that is paid for stuff to make us be fearful that we're exhaling and causing a problem. So
CO2, of course, is not a poison. It's what plants use.
It's what they need. It's what they use to grow. So I think there's something else at play.
A long time ago I said that it was carbon monoxide that is the problem, not carbon dioxide.
Yeah, but they're trying to make everyone think that we need to be
100%.
taxed for breathing out. It makes me sick.
You're right. So the whole point of this article is that we are having less nutritious food.
Listen to what he says. Every leaf and every grass blade on Earth makes more and more sugars as CO2 levels keep rising. We are witnessing the greatest injection of carbohydrates into the bioatmosphere in human history, and an injection that dilutes other nutrients in our food supply. Very interesting.
Yeah. So the light and the carbon dioxide, because there's more.
But the light's getting dim because they're covering it from us. The sun's going to sleep, as you say.
Right.
Grand solar minimum. We're not having as much sunlight. So
no, we are having as much sunlight. It's just that we're not protected as much from the sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's happening? We're spraying.
Well, that's happening too. So we're in a world of trouble, basically.
So they're decreasing our sun to offset it. Oh, man, I wish we had time to show it. One of my Facebook friends, his name is Howard Miller. He's local. Yeah. And I'm going to have him on the show because he documents. I mean, he takes up close pictures of the moon every night and every day. He gets sunrise and sunsets. He did a phenomenal piece last night because it was one of the first 2 days we've had without geoengineering. We went through a lot leading up to the storm. They were heavily spraying us. God knows why, But anyways, long story short,
so
it's interesting.
In agriculture research has been understood for some time that many of our most important foods are getting less nutrition.
I think that's the soil.
Well, I think it's all of these things. I think extending sunlight, so the plants don't have time to rest, puts some more stress on them. We think we're feeding them with sunlight, when we are to a point, but when you feed too much, then
Measurements of fruits and vegetables show that their minerals, vitamins, and protein content has measurably dropped over the past 50 to 70 years. I'm going to tell you it's soil depletion. That's why there's ancient soil beds like the Primal Edge. Sure. Because all we're doing is, it's kind of like if you have a bank account and you have $100 and you drop $90 every day, you're going to be out of money in a day. So that's what we're doing to our soil.
Exactly.
We're drawing out all the trace minerals.
And we definitely know it's the soil, because that's obvious, because we till the soil. But the second thing is extending light would probably be the same thing. And here he's saying CO2 from a standpoint of feeding, because it's more, that part is the only part I don't understand quite as much. Because if we have more oxygen in the room, we are getting much more
Or he's saying our plants are becoming more sugar-dense carbohydrates as a result of CO2. This may be a survival mechanism based on the poor nurture of the soil.
That's possible.
I mean, hey, I'm not a PhD scientist, but I like to.
But we certainly know that the nutrition is being lost in our food, and that's detrimental to us. And what my point of this whole thing is, back in the wild, Mother Nature kind of takes care of itself. And we know that in the wild, our food is going to be more nutrition. So that's where we have to find our way back to the wild somehow, still maintaining our modern, nice lifestyle.
Exactly. It says a landmark study of fruits and vegetables in 2004 found that everything from protein to calcium, iron, and vitamin C had declined significantly across most garden crops since 1950. This was concluded that it could be most explained by the varieties we were choosing to grow. Lack of diversification.
Yeah.
We don't do crop rotation like our native ancestors knew.
That's right.
Hey, we'll be right back after a short
Very
break.
interesting. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
I found this article more than a millennia ago in what's now southeastern Sweden. A wealthy Viking warrior was laid to rest in a grave filled with swords and arrowheads and 2 sacrificed horses. The site reflected the ideal Viking male warrior life, and many...
Or so the archaeologists thought, but
yes.
Guess what?
What?
The new DNA analysis of the bones of this brave warrior confirmed something else. It was a woman.
Yeah, how about that?
The grave belonged to a woman. The study published recently in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology It sent ripples of surprise through archaeologists who they're understanding the Vikings and medieval seafarers who traded and raided across of Europe for centuries. It looked like some of the gals were part of the team.
No doubt about it. If you watch the Vikings on, I think, the History Channel or one of these channels, I was watching it for a couple of years, and they certainly had the women fighting in there, and this kind of proves it. And probably many of the ancient warrior types and head of the clans were probably women, because we know that the American Indian, especially the Iroquois, based their whole society as...
Many of the American Indian societies were matriarchal, including the Cherokee.
Yeah.
Viking lore has long hinted that not all warriors were men. One early 10th century Irish text tells of what they called them the Injun Rides, Red Girls, a female warrior who led a Viking fleet to Ireland. And Zori notes that numerous Viking sagas, such as the 13th century saga of the Volsungs, tells of shielded maidens fighting alongside the male warriors.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, so some archaeologists have considered these female warriors to be merely mythological embellishments, a brief colored by modern expectations of gender roles. I don't think so.
No.
I think we gals get out there and do it. So,
well, I definitely think so. And if you look at the just shows like the Ninja Warrior, you see those gals up there swinging from their arms just like the guys are, and doing many things that we can do, and a lot of times doing them better. And I think I like the mind of the female as far as organization. I don't do well multitasking. My wife does really phenomenal things multitasking.
Well, you know what? Maybe the deal is we're just a good team, male and female.
Well, that's without the team, there is no future, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to get along for sure. And I just like the perspective of the female. And as a counsel to me, in making my decision, I always go to my wife, who thinks completely different than I do. And a lot of times I don't understand that thinking when we're in a bind, but it always seems to come through, and she shines right at the top. That's not to say that I don't have my place too. And she comes to me for counsel also on different levels.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great yin-yang type of thing. Speaking of the Viking life and you being Dutch, I think it's interesting. I said to you during the break that I am getting some of my DNA results back to see if what I think I am. I'm a kind of a Heinz 57 mutt myself. But many of us think we're one thing, and we find out, lo and behold, we got a little some other
Well, we have
in there.
DNA now that we can tap into, so I've never done that, but we have gone back into my family on my mother's side, back to about 1,000 years, and all in Holland, just maybe 100 miles from where I was born, is where most
That's
of my
kind of interesting. 100 miles. That's a small. Small.
Well, back in the old days, we didn't move much. We only moved because we had to, or because the climate changed, and we were forced to, in a sense.
And perfect example too is I'm doing more study of chronobiology and the healing of light. You're way up there where your ancestors are from. Low availability of light. Need those fats.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Well, guys,
that's the show.
That's the show. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Stay healthy and be good.
Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. sequence. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.